Hi there and welcome to our guide to Health Club member retention. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to view this presentation today, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of valuable information from it, some ideas and tactics and strategies that can really move your health club's retention forward. So before we start, I'd like to just actually give you a quick reward for taking the time to invest in learning these retention strategies. So we have a new software system called Exercise Directory, and would like to actually give you a free demonstration or a free login that you can use free of charge for 14 days. So you can have a look at this and see if it'd be anything you'd be interested in. Now this contains over 200 videos outlining step-by-step technique instructions for the most common health club exercises. So this has been designed as an educational aid to really engage your members. It includes pictures and instructions for each exercise, and it integrates into a touchscreen unit that's mounted onto a wall within your health club. So as I said, we'd like to offer you a free 14-day registration login for this, and you can get that by just visiting the site below. So consider this a little reward for taking the time to invest in your retention education today. So we won't waste any more time. Let's now get into the presentation so we can cover off some retention strategies and tactics. Welcome to our guide to Health Club member retention. Our organisation, Member Retention Systems, is the smart choice for health club owners and managers who are interested in learning new ways and ideas and strategies for improving member retention. We work with some of the largest and best known facilities in Australia with our software solutions. Now, why have we put this educational video together for you? Well, obviously through our software development process, we accumulate a huge amount of research and development, and this drives our software development. So through that, we've accumulated a huge amount of information on health club member retention strategies and tactics. So rather than letting all that information go to waste, we've taken this information and concentrated it down into a short educational video that will give you access to the latest cutting edge information on member retention strategies and tactics. So if you are interested in ways to work on improving your health club's member retention, you're definitely at the right place. So what will this educational video cover today? First of all, we're going to cover some facts that you must know about operating a profitable health club. We're also going to discuss the financial impact of poor member retention and discover how much leverage there is in the area of improving retention. We're also going to cover 7 health club profit activators, and these are overriding principles of retention. So we'll discuss each of those. And then we're going to get to the fun part. We're going to cover 21 tactics that you can implement into your health club to improve member retention. So that'll be specific tactics that you can implement directly into your club. So if any of these topics interest you, keep watching now. So let's start off with the member retention facts. And these have been compiled from a number of sources, including IHRSA's Guide to Member Retention, the Why Members Quit study, and also another study, Winning the Retention Battle, which was a study by the FIA in the UK. So what do we know? On average, overall 6 out of 10 members will still be a member at the same health club 12 months after they join. So this is what we call a 60% annual retention rate. So if this is the average, this can give us clues if we know our health club's retention rate of where we fall in comparison to an average club. So if the average is 60% or thereabouts, obviously we want to be above 60% with our health club, or at least on the way to getting that or achieving that. We also know that annual member retention rates vary from as low as 39%, which is pathetic, to as high as 90%, which is absolutely exceptional. So obviously 39% is ridiculously low, and 90% is very high. And as I said, the average is somewhere around 60%. So obviously the variance is different for different types of clubs. We know that health clubs that are health club only, just gym only, have a higher attrition rate than multi-purpose clubs. So keep that in mind. We also know a quarter of clubs have annual retention rates lower than 51%. So that represents the bottom 25% of clubs. And a quarter of clubs have retention rates higher than 69%. So 69 and above represents our top 25% of performers. And that's where you want to be, if at all possible. So let's have a look at facility utilization. Now, why would we look at that? So what is facility utilization? That's how much is the facility used by members? How often do members come in to the facility? So overall, the median number of visits in the first calendar month after joining for a member is 6. So that's the median number there. Well, why is that important? We know that there's almost a direct correlation between the frequency of someone visiting in the first month of membership and annual retention rates. So in other words, the more frequently people come in the first month particularly, the higher the retention rates. We also know that the difference between the frequency of visits in the third month and the 6th month is minimal. So this suggests that most people establish their pattern of visiting by the 3rd month. Now, what does this tell us? This tells us how important the first 90 days of membership is. We also found that only 6% of low frequency users in the first month managed to increase their visitation frequency to at least once per week in month 3. This emphasizes the importance of picking up low frequency users early in the membership. So let's have a look at this chart here, and this looks at the facility utilization and how that correlates with retention rates. So you can see here we've got the people that visit less than 4 times per month, and their retention rate after 52 weeks is down at around below the 60% mark. Now, if you look at each line, this represents coming more often, so 4 to 7 per month, 8 to 11, and 12 plus visits per month. And you can see that correlation between visitation and retention rates. So it's important to keep that in mind. Now let's turn our focus to retention and the impact on health club profitability. And this quote here was taken from John McCarthy, who was IHRSA's executive director. And it said a 2% improvement in member retention can result in as much as a 20% improvement in club profitability. So what's our message here? The message is that small improvements make a significant difference. So a small improvement in member retention can have a significant impact on a club's bottom line. So let's have a look at a little study here, and I really like this chart because it makes it very clear the power and the leverage available to you through improving member retention. So this study compares 2 clubs, Club A and Club B. Now, all the variables of the club's members, they've both got the same amount, 3,000 to start with. They both have the same number of new members per year, and they've got the same pricing, or the membership pricing structure. The only difference is a difference in membership retention rates. So Club B is running at 65%, which is a very good retention rate. But Club A is running at 70%, which is excellent. So if you look on the right here, it compares the two clubs and their revenue each year. And you can see at the end of the first year, Club A has had an extra $112,000. And this increases each year as the gap widens. So after 5 years, the difference is over 300,000 between the two clubs in revenue per year. Now, what does this total over 5 years? It's over $1 million. So you can see the power of a small improvement of 5% in retention here in the long term. So there's a lot of leverage there to improve your health club's profitability. Again, all the other factors were exactly the same. The only difference was an improvement in retention. So let's turn our focus now to what we can do to proactively start to improve retention. And we're going to look at some health club profit activators. Now, we'll go through each of these in detail in a moment. The first one is educate. Then we've got follow up, risk rating, member to trainer connection, member to member connection, engagement or engage, and then we've got staff performance. So these make up our profit activators. These are our retention principles that lay the foundation for our tactics and strategies. So let's explore each of these. The first is educate. So why is it important to educate? Well, 40% of members have little to no experience when they join the gym. So they must learn an entirely new skill set. So some people have used the analogy of stepping into the cockpit of an aeroplane when you have no experience and being told to start up the engines. So this is the same situation for a new member. They don't know how to use the machines. They don't know how to do the exercises correctly. So time is needed to educate and support these members to get them feeling comfortable, because if they're feeling confused and not comfortable in the club, they're likely to not come, which will lead to cancellation. So education is an important factor. The next is follow-up. So after a new member has been inducted into the health club, they will likely, especially if they're inexperienced, to face roadblocks that pose a threat to them achieving their goals. Perhaps it's an injury, perhaps they don't know how to do an exercise. So follow-up allows health clubs to proactively remove any roadblocks that are in the way for that particular member. Not always, if a member has a problem, will they actually ask a question or confront the club about it. So the more we can be proactive and follow up, the more we can remove any potential roadblocks that will cause the member frustration and cause them to cancel. Our next activator is risk rating. So what's risk rating? Risk rating is identifying members who pose a threat of cancelling their membership. And this allows us to be, again, proactive in supporting and educating members before it becomes too late. So this ties into the principle that we spoke about earlier, that correlation between facility usage and member retention. So by identifying people with low usage, we can be proactive and do something about it to hopefully re-engage them before it's too late. The next one is member to trainer connection. And you'll see this is a common theme throughout a lot of the member retention literature. So it says that clubs that have a strong member to trainer connection will have higher retention rates than clubs where this is not the case. When members develop rapport with the trainer, they feel more likely to feel a sense of trust and seek support. So it's very important to develop that member to trainer connection within the facility, and we'll give you some specific strategies of how to do that later. Next, we've got member to member connection. So this is more about the social aspect within a club. So clubs with strong member to member connections will have higher retention rates than clubs that do not. So we know that for a fact that members who go and train by themselves on machines have the highest attrition rate of all. So we want to be proactive in ensuring members have a social aspect when they come to the gym. Perhaps they meet some friends or family, or they train in groups. So it's very important to orchestrate and develop that member to member connection within the facility. Our next activator is engage, and this ties back to that 90-day principle and how important it is to get people coming in regularly over the first 90 days, as this will drive our retention. So we want to be engaging members in the gym in the first 90 days. We want to give them a reason to come in, to be excited about their exercise. So we need to figure out strategies and identify ways to engage members to drive that early facility utilization. And the last one here is staff performance. So gym instructors are responsible for supporting and educating members and developing member to trainer connection within the facility. Good staff will drive retention higher. However, management must get the best out of each and every instructor. So obviously there's always good and bad staff, but the more management can keep staff accountable, the better the results can be. So they're our activators, and they form the foundation of our tactics now that we'll discuss. So we're going to cover off 21 specific tactics of how to improve your member retention. And these tie into those principles, as you see. So for each principle or activator, there'll be 3 tactics relating to that specific activator. So as you can see here, our first was education or educate. So you can see there's 3 strategies or tactics that relate to education. The first is the 90-day principle. Second is educational aids, and third is newsletters. So let's explore each of those. 90-day principle. The first 90 days of membership is critical to member retention. We've talked about the correlation between use and retention. So if a member has poor usage in the first 90 days, they are likely to cancel. So our focus needs to be that first 4 to 6 weeks of membership and making the member comfortable, giving them support and education to ensure that their usage from day one is good, because it's very hard to reactivate people if they have bad usage early on. So we want to do everything we can to get members off on the right foot. One way we can work on that is using educational aids, and that's our next tactic. So how can we have some support in place where members can educate themselves? We want to make it easy for the member to gain support and feel comfortable. So an example of this, and this is thinking outside the square a little, is pictures on exercise programs, as this helps members remember their program and feel comfortable. They don't want to feel confused, and they don't want to forget how to do a particular exercise. So this little strategy here can be a way to make members feel more comfortable by educating them. A way to take that further is to have on-demand videos that demonstrate to members how to do an exercise correctly. And this can really be a powerful tool to make members feel comfortable and supported. And it also obviously takes the strain off your trainers having to do this all the time. And obviously your trainers aren't available all the time. The next is newsletters. Now, this is another form of education, but it's also another way to keep regular contact with the members and make them feel connected to the club. So URSA's Guide to Retention says to obtain the email addresses of all members. And what you can do is send a monthly newsletter, and this can be educational. It can educate members about nutrition, training tips, etc. And obviously also keep them up to date with what's happening in the club. So it's a great communication mechanism for the club to stay connected with members. So there's our educational strategies. We now turn our attention to follow-up strategies. So follow-up is one of the most important components of a retention strategy. So we're going to cover off now some tactics: 7-day follow-up email, automated SMS, and orchestrating reassessments. So 7-day follow-up, this is a key. So the gym instructor that is responsible for formulating a member's program should make email contact with that particular member 7 to 14 days after their program induction. So the reason for this email follow-up is to ensure that the member doesn't have any problems, they don't have any confusion, and to remove any roadblocks or problems the member may have before irritation develops. The vital time period is 7 to 14 days. Why is that? Because after 7 days, the members had a chance to commence working out. So they may have done 2-3 sessions, but if it gets longer than 14 days, if an irritation or roadblock has arisen, there's an opportunity for irritation to develop in that time. So we don't want to leave it too long also. We also find that email is less disruptive and the member can respond with questions in their own time. So it opens up the opportunity for a dialogue to start between the member and trainer, which then strengthens that relationship further. Now you can tie your 7-day follow-up with another strategy, which is automated SMS. So this automates the follow-up process to some degree. Some follow-up, you obviously want to make it personal and more one-on-one, but if you combine it with some automated SMS, it can become very powerful. So SMS is consistent and reliable contact with members. So we suggest setting up some certain triggers. Some examples might be a 5-visit SMS. So when a member reaches 5 visits, they get a congratulations message, rewarding and recognizing the member for the good behavior that they've been doing. Other triggers that we can suggest are 1 month. So when a member gets to 1 month after joining, you can offer them some kind of assistance. So by prompting them, they might take up that offer for assistance and get the assistance they need to keep moving forward. Another great one is reassessment reminders, which we'll turn our focus to now. So we want to orchestrate reassessments. We know that members who undergo a reassessment after 60 to 90 days are more likely to reach their goals and stay for a longer period of time. So by being proactive and sending an SMS message to remind members that they're due for reassessment, we can improve our conversion rate to reassessment. It's a bit like the analogy of going to a dentist. If you receive a reminder that you're due for a dental checkup, you're probably more likely to go and book in for that. But if you're not reminded, you're probably going to wait until there's a problem, a major problem with your teeth. So the same principle applies here. We want to orchestrate reassessments by sending SMS reminders. Now we turn our focus to risk rating strategies. So we've got 3 tactics here: at joining risk rating, attendance risk rating, and also measuring membership retention. So at joining risk rating is looking at people that pose a high risk of dropping out the day they join. So if we know that 40% of members who join a health club have minimum experience, we can flag these people as a high risk. So identify these people upon joining and flag them at high risk. So we need to have a specific strategy for these high risk inexperienced members. Perhaps we need to spend more time with them, perhaps an extra appointment for more time to educate and support them, perhaps having an extra follow-up step with these members. But by flagging them and identifying, we can redirect our restricted resources to ensure that these members are supported more, because at the end of the day, these are our members that are likely to cancel. These are our really high risk group. Another way you can do risk rating is through attendance risk rating. So this I guess is based on that direct correlation again between facility usage and member retention. So each month, identify members with poor usage patterns. So less than 4 workouts per month is a good indicator. If someone after the first month of joining has less than 4 workouts, they're very high risk. So you should be pulling a list of this every single month and following up with these members relentlessly. So offer them the opportunity to receive assistance. Perhaps give them a 30-minute PT session or a reassessment or something to reactivate them before it's too late. Because as you saw earlier, it's very hard to change a member's momentum once they're on a certain path. So we want to ensure that we follow up with these members in the first month and hopefully reactivate them and get them on the right path as quickly as possible. We've also got the next tactic is measure member retention. So most clubs are pretty good at this now, and you want to measure annual and monthly retention rates, because unless you know where you are now, it's very hard to compare yourself to other industry standards, but also compare yourself against yourself. Are you improving? Are your strategies having a meaningful impact? Another area you might want to track is measuring average facility usage per member, because as you know, this is a driver. So we want to see this headed in a positive direction, as our retention results should follow this directly. So member to trainer strategies, or member to trainer connection strategies. So here we've got direct email support. We've got hiring and the importance of having a stable staffing base. And we've got interaction on the gym floor, which is a commonly known one. So direct email support. In my opinion, this is one of the most important strategies, and it's often overlooked from clubs. So assign each member to a trainer, typically the trainer that was responsible for developing their program, and provide the member with direct email access to this designated trainer so that they can ask questions and seek support at any time. The focus there is any time. So the trainer responsible for inducting a new member may not always be available in the gym. So a member might come in and they might have a question about their program, but the trainer is not available. So they have to try and wait, and it just leads to frustration. So by having direct email support, this ensures that the member can access support at all times by sending a question to the trainer and then receiving a response back. So this is just increasing the level of support available to our members. The next strategy or tactic is hiring. So this is often overlooked, and it's very important to have a stable staffing base. We know that every hiring decision affects retention because over time, members and trainers build a relationship, and we call this trainer equity. And this is the accumulation of relationships, knowledge about the members, their interests, their training preference, etc. Now, if you have a high turnover of staff, your staff are always leaving, it's very hard to build this trainer equity, and it's always lost. So ideally, you want to have a very stable staffing base. It's not always possible in this industry, but if you have this in mind when hiring for the long term and focusing on a low turnover of staff, you're going to have more stability and be able to take advantage of that trainer equity that we've talked about. An obvious one here that most clubs are aware of is interaction on the gym floor. And this is a basic rule of health club success. So ensure gym instructors are visible and available to support members on the gym floor, but also go a step further, provide training for all staff on how to appropriately interact with members on the gym floor and set some standards and expectations for your staff. Now we've got our tactics for member-to-member connection. And this, as I talked about, is surrounding the social aspect of the club. So the strategies or tactics here are incentivizing family and friend referrals, social events, and promoting group activities. So we want to incentivize family and friend referrals. So provide an incentive for family and friends referrals upon joining, and ensure this is promoted to each and every new member. As we spoke about earlier, there is the highest risk group of people, the highest attrition group is people that come in by themselves and train on machines. So we want to ensure that each member has some social aspect to the experience at the health club. Now we've got social events. So we want to develop a social aspect to the club, and we can develop this proactively by inviting members to celebrate events at the club. Consider conducting an event every 3 months, things like Christmas parties, etc. This also gives us a chance to educate members. So consider things like short talks on nutrition, sports performance, and other topics of interest. We also want to promote group activities. So promote activities that will strengthen member-to-member connection, such as group fitness classes, boot camps, and circuit classes. Such services can create a sense of community, and it allows members to meet other members, make friends, and obviously have that sense of community also. So that is our social aspect or member-to-member connection. So let's turn our focus to engage or engagement strategies. Now this is where we start to think outside the box, and this is a very proactive way to deal with retention. So we know how important that first 90 days are. We want to ensure that the members are coming in frequently over the first 90 days, as that sets the direction and the momentum that the member's going to move in, their pattern of usage. So we want to have strategies and tactics in place to really engage them, to make their time at the health club exciting and enjoyable. So here's some strategies to deal with that. The first is tracking. So we've found that members who track their exercise get a sense of mastery when they see improvements. So consider tracking members' fitness testing with computerized tracking software so members can visually see improvements. Also, offer an exercise tracking tool as a way to engage members. So If members can track things like calories or sessions completed, weights lifted, and distance covered, they can get really engaged in this process. So this can be achieved through software such as MobileFit and other applications like MyFitnessPal you would have seen are really popular. So this is another way to really engage people and get them excited about their exercise. A great way to engage members also is through rewards and incentives. So we want to incentivize usage in the first 90 days of membership. So we want to reward the good behavior, which is high attendance, and we want to proactively promote our reward system. So what we do with our clients is we set up a points system for them where they can set up specific achievement levels, and members can work towards those achievement levels to receive rewards. And rewards can be things like a cup of coffee at the cafe, a drink bottle, but if you can make these more enticing over time, we have some clubs give away boxing gloves and pedometers and heart rate monitors. This is a way to really entice members and incentivize usage. So if this is promoted well when a member joins, it can be a real driver of usage in that first 90 days. So this is starting to think outside the box and be more proactive in the retention strategy. Another way to do this is through competition. We know that Australians love sport and people like to compete. So give members a chance to compete against each other and to receive some form of recognition. So possible competition categories include calories burnt, distance of cardio, etc. And you can have a monthly competition and have members compete in these categories each month to be the best for that category for that particular month. So consider making a leaderboard public within the club so members can receive recognition and see their name up in lights. So this is another strategy to engage members in the health club, to get them excited and give them an additional reason to come in and frequently work out, because that's going to drive our retention upward. Now we've got our final activator in our three strategies here. We've got staff performance, so staff KPIs, staff accountability, retention performance per staff. So staff KPIs. You want to set KPIs for staff each month in terms of member retention and other factors such as follow-up messages sent. Now that's an important one. I recommend tracking the amount of messages sent and received for each trainer each month. You also want to reward staff for high performance and reaching their KPIs. You also want to have a sense of accountability. So meet with your staff on a monthly basis to review results as a team and individually. If performance is less than desirable, encourage the trainer to make a significant improvement. So if there's no accountability from management, staff can fall into bad patterns. They won't follow up. There'll be less education and support for members. So you need to be relentless with your accountability of your trainers to make sure that they're each month doing the basics, the 1%ers. So really ensure that you keep the staff accountable, as this will drive continued improvement. And our last tactic here is looking at retention performance for each staff. So what you can do, and we see our high performing clients and clubs throughout the industry, the really high performers do this. They track cancellation rates for each individual trainer. So this is the most accurate measure of trainer effectiveness, and we want to reward staff for high retention performance. Now this quote was taken from Ursa's Guide to Retention, and it says, one of the ironies of club management is that almost every manager pays lip service to membership retention, yet relatively few put hard cash on the line. So what this is saying is that although clubs talk about the importance of retention, how much focus do we really put on it? We often reward salespeople for getting more membership sales, but we rarely. And there you have it. So that wraps up our video today. We've covered off a huge amount of information on retention strategies and tactics. So I really hope that you've got some valuable content out of what we've gone through today. I hope you found some ideas that you can now take and implement into your health club to improve your member retention. Even if one of the ideas that we've covered today can be implemented into your health club, you'll be bound to see an improvement in your retention score. So you may want some help in terms of implementing some of these tactics and strategies, and that's what we specialize in through our organization and through our software solutions. So we're dedicated to improving retention and profitability for health clubs right around Australia. And as you probably saw earlier, a lot of our clients are some of the largest and best known facilities throughout the country. So if you'd like to speak to us about the ways we can help improve your member retention, you can call us on 1300 181 665. I'll repeat that, 1300 181 665, or you can email info@memberretention.com.au. That was info@memberretention.com.au. But before I leave you, I have an offer I'd like to put forward to you. We have a software package called Exercise Directory, and this centers around the principle today that we talked about, which was educating and engaging members. Now, this can be a great place to start to really support, educate, and engage your members. So it takes into account some of the principles that we've talked about in our education today. So what I'd like you to do is, I'd like to offer you a free 14-day demo login of our Exercise Directory software, so you can have a look at it for yourself and be the judge to see if it's something you think will be powerful for your club. So we'll have a quick look at how this software works now. So as you can see, it's packed full of videos that members can look up and see how to do technique correctly. So a member can search any exercise and watch a video on the screen, as you can see now. So there's videos, there's pictures of how to do the exercise, and there's also a description. So it's a full educational package for members, and this can be mounted as a touchscreen unit to any wall within your health club. So it becomes a powerful resource to support and engage members. Remember, two of our activators, our profit activators for health clubs, were education and support, and these are the two pillars that really underlie this product. And obviously, in addition to that, it's a great way to really improve support levels when you have limited staffing. So one of the big things that your staff will be responsible for is the constant re-education of members who forget how to do an exercise. So members who do forget how to do an exercise can simply look up this the exercise on Exercise Directory and get a video of how to do it. So we'd like to offer you a special 14-day demo login of this, and you can get that demo login by going to the following site here, which is www.memberretentionsystems.com.au/edemo. So we'll put that on the screen now, and you can get a username and password for a 14-day demo login for our software. And if you find that the software is something that you'd like to get some more information about, you can again call us on our 1300 number, 1300 181 665. So there's a little bonus for you too. Thank you for putting the time in and listening to our education today. So we'll leave it there. Thanks again for your time, and I really hope you've got something valuable out of our educational experience here. Thank you.